This tiny brushless ready-to-run stadium truck got a ton of interest when I posted a teaser online. It's the new Carisma GT24 ST, and it's actually kind of hard to get in the US right now, which begs the question, is it worth the wait? And let's just call it like we see it here. It looks like a tiny RC10T, which is why I think people love it so much. Let's get this thing out of the box and take a closer look. So everything you need to run it is inside the box. The assembled truck, the Carisma HP radio system, your manual, and some decals, and this little baggie of goodies here, which gives you the AA batteries, the nickel metal hydride battery pack that goes in the truck, the USB charger, some extra O-rings to hold down that battery pack, spur gear, and it looks like a body mount. I don't know what that's for. Maybe they're gonna have a buggy later on, but let's check this thing out. So yeah, that looks like a old school 10T stadium truck. Very cool looking either way. Actually, like MRC had the similar truck bodies like this, but I mean, I like the simple paint job on it. Just gives you that old school vibe. I mean, even down to the dish wheels, they're kind of that offset white, and then they do have a modern tire on it. So it's a rib tire in the front, and it looks like this hexagon pattern in the rear, probably really good clay tire. Body is held on with body clips. Gives it that little vintage vibe, I think, but let's get the body off so we can check out the details. There is a new chassis on this from Carisma, and they did kind of splice in some of the other components that they already have in their other platforms, like the suspension arms. But check this thing out. It's a rear motor setup. That's pretty awesome. Again, a little old school vibe, good for dirt racing, but this is a pretty good looking chassis from them. It's got some honeycomb bracing in the center. This is actually a really rigid chassis. And then the front end looks like it was pulled off one of their on-road cars. Double wishbone suspension set up in the front with just the steering knuckle. No drive, of course, because it's a rear-wheel drive truck, but the composite suspension components that we've seen from them. And then it does have friction dampers. I mean, that's kind of what we're used to seeing from Carisma. Actually, not half bad, just for out of the box, but I think there are some oil fill options available. Probably something you want to pick up later on down the road, because I bet you this thing's gonna fly with that brushless system in it. We're definitely gonna test that out later. But let's get back to the chassis. So yeah, the battery goes in the center, held down with the simple O-rings, and then it's got this rear motor setup, multi-gear transmission. So it's got a gear differential, and then it doesn't exactly have a slipper. It's kind of one of those slip coupler units where there's a plate that slips inside of the spur gear, and it just absorbs any shock to the driveline so you don't blow out your gears. The motor plate is fiberglass, actually black fiberglass, and then the rear suspension similar to the front, however H-arms in the rear, and then those friction dampers, which again, they don't feel too bad. Into the electronics, just has a micro servo up front with a spring-loaded servo saver. It is a 3-wire setup, so if you want to swap it out later, you'll be able to do that. It has their ARC brushless system in it, and then an 8,000 kV motor. So yeah, kind of a mix of things we've seen before and some new stuff, so it's a really interesting looking platform. We just need to see how it performs, so let's head out. Okay, RCRers, I've been dying to drive this truck. Here I am at Gallimod's in Baldwin Place, New York. It's a little indoor track. I thought it'd be the perfect spot for this. We're getting some laps in. The transmission's kind of noisy in there. It's handling pretty well. Let's check out the jumping action. Nice little swoop through that. Over the ripples, no problem. Got plenty of steering with those wide tires up front. All right, I'm getting used to it now. I mean, those were the first laps. Just straight out of the box. Oh, major hit. All tie rods are still on. Good sign there. All right. Getting it down. Hopefully that drivetrain wears in. Sounds a little crunchy, but it's got some power. And the battery fell out. Look at that. Oh no. That's not a good sign. That's like what you see back in the 80s. Bigfoots with the batteries hanging out, driving around the track. All right, got the battery back in, and those body clips are really tight in the posts. Kind of hard to get the body on and off. Let's get some more laps in. So a little laggy on the bottom end from that brushless system. So when I hit these jumps, I really need to just figure out my throttle. A little nose down. I think this thing really needs some oil shocks, and I know there's some of these out there already. I think that's the big consensus, is it needs oil shocks, and once you do that, it's got to handle a lot better. We're getting around this track pretty good. It's got to keep it punch off the jump just to get that nose up, just like you would with any two-wheel drive truck. Little blip. Nope, that didn't work. So yeah, just keep it punch when you hit a jump. Keep that front up, you should be good to go. But it goes through that ripple section really well. Another big jump here. There we go. See, told you. Keep it pinned, and you're good to go. Plenty of steering, though, especially if you're going to run on carpet. Yeah, just shocks, guys. Shocks, I think we'll be good to go with this car. Truck, excuse me, truck. It just bottoms out on the landings. Almost there, Carisma. But yeah, definitely a good base. Little tweak and we're good to go. I've had a lot of Carisma RC cars come through the workshop over the years, and I have to say this is probably on the top of my list of fun cars that they have to offer. Really cool looking going around the track, gives you that vintage vibe, but this is actually, I think, a bit quicker out of the box than what I'm used to seeing from them. And still, you could go throw a LiPo battery in here, which bumps up the speed a little bit more, kind of known for all the Carisma cars that are out there. So I think speed would definitely help it out a little bit more. It's definitely quick, but I think it just could use a little bit more punch, and definitely going over the jumps because it's a two-wheel drive truck and you got to throttle this thing over the jumps to get the nose up. But definitely a drivable truck the way it's set up. I do wish it had oil-filled shocks. That, I think, just would have made everything good, everything worthwhile right out of the box. And that's what we're going after here. Is it worth it? Is it worth the wait for this? And I think it is, even if you do have to go and make these little tweaks yourself. I did find the weak point on it. I broke a suspension arm, cut my day short, and what I don't like about this setup is the pin is part of the arm. I guess if you're gonna have to get a part anyway, you know, it is one piece, so it's not that bad overall. I don't know, maybe just a metal pin would have held up versus, you know, this plastic pin. But other than that, really cool truck from them. And I do wish that you gave us a better battery strap along with it. But yeah, guys, just a few tweaks. It's going to be a really fun truck. It's already out there. I know there's people having fun with it across the pond. But if you want to wait for it here in the US and grab one when they are finally available, I'd say go for it.